Let's talk Tanya for the 7th of Iyar of a leap year. We're in the middle of talking about reciprocal love. The love which is kamayim haponim al haponim, like water reflects a face, contemplating God's love for us and arriving thereby by a great love for God. And in the Tanya of 2 days ago, we spoke a parable. The Alter Rebbe gave a parable of a great king who goes to a garbage dump where he finds a lowly commoner, and the person is just marinating in filth, and the king goes and takes this commoner back to his palace and enters into this incredibly close union and relationship, friendship together with this commoner, gives him a hug and kisses, etc. We can just imagine how much love this commoner will have back for the king. And as we said yesterday, this is exactly what happened to us. God is the great king, the greatest of the great. And in today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe continues on explaining the analog. So God, he comes down to the garbage dump. When did God come down to the garbage dump? That would be 3,300 plus years ago, when God himself comes down to Egypt. You realize God has angels, holy ministering angels, and all the inhabitants of the higher worlds, and God tells all of them, I'm not really interested in you. Instead, he comes down into Egypt, and Egypt is the spiritual garbage dump of this world. It was a depraved place, filled with impurity. And God comes himself, as we say in the Haggadah, that God himself comes down to Egypt. He did not send an angel, he did not send an emissary. Why did God come himself? Why couldn't he send an angel or an emissary? Because he loves us. Out of his great love for us, he himself, God himself, comes down to Egypt, into this cesspool, the spiritual cesspool, extracts us from Egypt, brings us back to his palace, brings us to Mount Sinai, gives us the Torah and the mitzvahs, and enters into this incredible relationship with us. As we know, in Kabbalah, we talk about the idea that every time that we do a mitzvah, that's God hugging us. Every single time we articulate words of Torah, that's God kissing us. Every single time we understand the Torah concept, that's us entering into this a union of spirits with God, a spiritual union with God. And when we contemplate this, we're like, how can we not reciprocate with an incredible love for God? And the Alter Rebbe tells us this is also one of the deeper meanings of the blessing that we make before we do a mitzvah. Before we do a mitzvah, we say, Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvaysav, he who sanctified us with his commandments. But the word kiddushanu, sanctified, is related to the word kiddushin, which means marriage. So we can also read every single time we're saying a blessing, we can read it as meaning he married us with his mitzvahs. And what does that mean? That just like, what is the concept of marriage? So the pasuk says that alken yazav ishasav v'simai, that therefore a person leaves his mother and his father, v'davak be'ishtoi, and cleaves to his wife, v'hayu lebasar echad, and they become literally one flesh, one entity. That's what marriage is about. And through mitzvahs, we have this level of union with God. We become absolutely one with God. Is there anything greater than this? We were in Egypt, drowning, again, in the cesspool of impurity. God himself swoops down, extracts us from there, gives us the Torah, the mitzvahs, marries us, is hugging us, is kissing us. Contemplating that automatically will evoke an incredible reciprocal love for God. In tomorrow's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is going to say there's also another meaning, another deeper understanding to the word kiddushanu, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvaysav, he who sanctified us with his commandments. And what that is, we'll find out in tomorrow's Tanya.